Thank you for checking out Murder Dictionary Podcast. I just wanted to give a quick disclaimer that we are still learning the ropes of audio and podcasting in general. The sound quality and content will get better as we get more experience, so please bear with us through this learning curve. We focus mostly on the murderers, so some listeners may feel that the subject is approached too lightheartedly and with a lack of focus on the victims. Although we want to be sensitive to that, we cannot help but focus on the details or facts that we find most fascinating. And for us, that is often the life of the murderer and the details of the crimes. We appreciate you checking us out and hope that you are also interested in the stories that we are intrigued enough by to explore. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Murder Dictionary Podcast. My name is Brianna, and with me is Kelly.
Hey.
So before we get started, I just wanted to remind you guys to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Please follow us there. And also, we would really appreciate if you would rate us on iTunes and anywhere else where you can shout us out and tell people about us. That would be wonderful. We would appreciate it a lot. For today, our subject is factitious disorder.
Factitious. God damn it.
I'm really easily amused.
I was like, should I say it? No, I'm not. Okay, I'll say it. You want to say factitious, just say it.
You feel it in your bones. It feels right. It feels right. Just do it.
Just do it. I'll say
factitious.
It. I'll do it once.
So, factitious disorder is actually what was previously known as Munchausen's, commonly before it was Munchausen's or Munchausen's by proxy, but nowadays it is called factitious disorder. So, a factitious disorder is a condition in which a person deliberately creates, fakes, or exaggerates symptoms of an illness in themselves or others in order to receive attention and admiration. Factitious disorder patients may lie about or mimic symptoms, hurt themselves or others to bring on symptoms, or alter diagnostic tests. Individuals with this disorder produce or fabricate symptoms of illness in people under their care, so their children, elderly adults, disabled persons, or their pets even. It most often occurs in mothers who intentionally harm their children in order to receive attention. These mothers use physicians to get recognition, praise, and security that they violently crave. The factitious disorder diagnosis is not given to the victim, but rather the perpetrator. So in most cases of factitious disorder, it's going to be moms. Mm-hmm. That's like 90% of what you find, which is, 90% of the research. So what we found with the cases that we're covering today, we're trying not to do only kids as victims.
Yeah, you were trying not to do it, and then I was reading it, and I was like,
but
it's great. They're great stories.
But at least there's I wanted to do a mix of different ones. So it's not just, 4 different cases where, every mom is killing a bunch of kids.
For attention.
God, it's terrible. But that's so much of what's out there. So we did include it in the episode just as a warning. If that's something that bothers you, which we totally understand, this may not be the episode for you, or maybe you could skip ahead of one of the stories or whatnot.
Go back to E.
But
or wait on G.
If you're down for F, we've got some great stories. We've got some doctor ones, some children ones, but there's kind of a mix. We tried to do that, even though if you look into it, you're going to find 90% are going to be mothers. So the cause of this disorder is often attributed to traumatic loss earlier in the individual's life. The person may have been fully abandoned by a parent or experienced rejection and lack of love as an infant. There's often abuse and neglect in the person's childhood as well. That's a really common theme when you look at early childhood development. Like if you let a baby cry for too long, and not that it's going to lead to you, abusing your own kids and having factitious disorder, but that's
wait, you're not supposed to let them cry too long? I'm not kidding. Aren't you supposed to? Don't you just shut the door and walk away or something?
I think you're supposed to let them self-soothe to a certain point, but really, like, you shouldn't let your child cry that long.
No, they win. They win if you cave. Like,
it's a competition.
Yeah.
I ain't no punk bitch. I ain't holding that baby. I'm sorry, Kel, but that's not how babies work.
I'm not going to be a mom ever. Oh my God. He'll cry it off. It's been 4 hours. It's fine. He does this all the time.
Kelly, what's up with your baby? It's just trying to win.
He's a little bitch.
Can't handle a dirty diaper on his own.
Oh,
my
fuck.
Goodness. So anyway, that's, commonly if you leave a baby to cry too long or whatnot, that's definitely like in early infant development, it can be definitely damaging for your kid.
Point taken. I'm gonna write that in my fucking
But
notebook.
Again, like with so many of the other things that we talk about, just because one of these factors happens to you doesn't mean you're automatically going to turn into a murderer.
Yeah.
Anyway, the signs and symptoms of factitious disorder include a prolonged, unexplainable health challenge with symptoms that involve multiple unrelated bodily systems. Signs and symptoms disappear when doctors aren't around, and in children, one parent, usually the father, is absent during the hospitalizations. Generally, it's just the mother that's witnessing this.
Okay. So they're the one, basically that's how they tie it together. They're sick and then the mom's there to like take care of them.
The mom's the one that sees it, reports it to the doctor, and the father's just like, well, she says that it's going on, but he never sees it himself. The general health of the patient clashes with results of lab tests, and the caretaker is over-involved in the medical process or day-to-day happenings of their treatment. The mother may thrive in the medical environment and enjoy the attention and care she receives from the healthcare staff.
I hate hospitals.
I know.
Who's like, I want to hang out here.
They make me so anxious. Oh. Yeah, that's the first sign. If you're comfortable there's something wrong for sure.
Unless you have a sweater or something. They got good snacks.
Vending machines are the shit.
Yeah.
She may have a history of frequent use of emergency rooms and ambulances. Other classic warning signs include separation anxiety in the child and parental overprotectiveness. The child may cling to the mother and not demonstrate age-appropriate behavior. So what I found during the research that I was doing was a breakdown of a few different kinds of factitious disorder, or different separated categories. So the three major types of factitious disorder perpetrators are help seekers, active inducers, and doctor's addicts. Some of those titles sound a little bit intuitive, but I'll definitely break it down. The help seekers are those who seek medical attention in order to spotlight their own anxiety, exhaustion, and depression. Kind of like being a hypochondriac, but the person knows the illness does not actually exist.
A bullshitter.
Exactly. Active inducers create medical problems in themselves or others by dramatic methods. These individuals are anxious and depressed and use extreme degrees of denial, disassociation of affect, and paranoid projection. These individuals control relationships with the treating physicians and get validated by the medical staff as the primary caretaker. Then the third kind is the doctor's addicts, who are obsessed with obtaining medical treatment for non-existent illnesses. The falsifications of doctor's addicts consists of inaccurate reporting of history and symptoms. They receive treatment for illnesses in themselves or others that don't actually exist. They often even insist the doctors perform certain tests or treatments, even if there's no concrete diagnosis or proof of the illness. These individuals tend to also be distrustful and angry.
This sounds fucking awful, because I would do anything to get out of a test. Be like, no, you don't. We don't need to take my blood. You could just
I have people that would definitely attest to me being very confrontational to try and not be in a hospital.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get out of it any way possible.
Or a doctor's office, or, I get pretty combative being like, I'm not fucking taking that. I'm not sitting here. Get me the fuck out of here immediately.
Use your stethoscope. Listen to my heart. We're good. I'm out. Fuck this.
I can't imagine being this person.
No, I want to stay here. Do more tests. Like,
right?
No, I have a lot more blood to give.
I want to pee in a lot more cups. There, I see you have extras, so please hand me about 40 of them.
What is it? A biopsy? Can we? I don't need a part of my liver. Come on,
just keep taking chunks. Scoop it out like a melon baller.
No, I have time. I'll wait. I'll be here. Just hanging out. And their insurance has to be like impeccable, right? Because if you're just getting all these tests,
right,
charging it to the game, like, come on.
Charging it to the Factitious Disorder game.
That factitious game. Oh my God.
So when a factitious disorder victim survives the physical abuse, psychological effects are chronic and lifelong. These children may learn to view love from their mother as dependent on the state of their health. The victims may even help in the deception or use self-harm in order to maintain the level of adoration and protect themselves against abandonment. So children under the age of 6 may believe that they are responsible for their illness. The victim may not be able to tell if they are actually sick or if the symptoms are imagined or fabricated. In older children, the school absenteeism that results from multiple hospitalizations brings with it loss of education and loss of social interactions with peers of their own age. So the first story we have is definitely a great example of that, of being separated from your peers and then kind of not knowing what normal behavior is, and the end consequence of that being pretty horrific. So the first one we have up is DeeDee and Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
DeeDee was born in 1967 in Louisiana to Claude and Emma. DeeDee's childhood was mostly normal and healthy, but her mother Emma was extremely overprotective. Because how attentive and controlling her mother was, she developed an unhealthy need for attention. In 1991, 24-year-old DeeDee met 17-year-old Rod Blanchard and they began dating.
That's a little robbing the cradle.
I checked it actually on Google and it was legal. The legal age of consent was 17. I thought the same thing. So they're doing all right.
It's, it's good practice to know the legal age of consent in every state. Especially if you're Kelly.
If you look up my Google search, it's like, what is age of consent in Louisiana? 1991. So stupid. All right, so after only dating for a few months, DeeDee found out she was pregnant, so they decided to get married. DeeDee gave birth to a premature but healthy baby girl named Gypsy Rose in July of 1991, but DeeDee and Rod separated around the time of her birth. Rod remarried and DeeDee moved in with her parents. When Gypsy was a few months old, DeeDee became preoccupied with her baby's health. DeeDee thought the baby wasn't breathing in the night, but tests revealed no diagnosis or issues. Even though there was no official diagnosis, sleep apnea was the first medical issue that Gypsy was ever treated for. I don't get why there's no a diagnosis, but they're like sleep apnea.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
I don't get. I mean, sleep apnea seems like it's kind of a blanket, like umbrella term for difficulty breathing while sleeping. And since the mom was the only one that witnessed it, they were like, "Oh, well, we don't see it, but she does." So I think they kind of gave her somewhat of a diagnosis, but it wasn't something that, like, because they have those like overnight breathing machines and stuff. From what I can tell, she never had that, but that's the explanation they probably gave her.
That's what would happen if you actually were diagnosed with it. It seems like in this entire story, you'll notice that the doctors didn't do shit.
Right.
The mom was the doctor the entire time. They just went off of everything she said. So when Gypsy was a very small child, she was involved in an accident while riding a motorcycle with her grandfather. Family members present at the accident said that the baby Gypsy had no injuries, but DeeDee insisted that her daughter couldn't walk after the accident and made her use a wheelchair.
That's so extreme.
It's extreme that a fucking baby's on a motorcycle with a grandfather, okay? There's a 90-year-old man doing 80 with a fucking 2-month-old on the handlebars. That's so stupid.
I'm just going to go jump this bike over some semis. I'll be right back. Then you can have your bottle.
Hey, baby, you like motocross? How about Mountain Dew? You like Rockstar? Let's go. Stupid. Okay, yeah, but making her use a wheelchair.
That's so far. Like, if the kid just didn't have any injuries, like maybe a scrape or something, and then all of a sudden she's in a wheelchair. That's so crazy.
What happens when the baby starts walking?
Right?
And they're like, and she's like, no. Sit down.
Just chill.
Yeah, just cut it out, man. Like, I said you were paralyzed.
Don't burn the spot.
Yeah, exactly. A cousin said they remembered spending time alone with Gypsy at age 7 and seeing her out of the wheelchair, walking and playing. But when DeeDee was looking, Gypsy would quickly get back into her wheelchair. It's just a really good visual for me. Like, if your mom's coming, just get like your cousin's looking out for you, like down the hallway.
Stop walking, bro.
Yeah. Shit, get in your fucking wheelchair. The same cousin says DeeDee insisted that her daughter had stomach issues and controlled Gypsy's diet by using a feeding tube. Just
That's so gnarly. That just grosses me out too. That's insensitive, but it does.
It does. I mean,
so grosses me out.
I'd be like, Mom, I'll eat it. Like, I'll eat salad and cucumbers if you want. I'll just let me chew it.
Yeah, it's just when you're a baby and that's all you know, you're looking to your parents to shape your reality. And if your parent says you can't eat, you're not even really going to think about being able to eat or not. That's just being such a young child, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
What makes them a perfect victim, because they're looking to you to give them all the answers about the world.
True. But I think at age 7, I definitely clashed heads more. If you tried to stick a feeding tube down my mouth at age 7, you would have gotten kicked. I would have never gone to sleep. I would have fucking ran.
That's because you were a scrappy motherfucker at 7.
What kid wasn't, though? Like, I wasn't good.
I wasn't scrappy.
Damn it. But a feeding tube, like, I can understand, like, shitty food, but a feeding tube. You will gag, and you have, like, a physical reaction to that.
Yeah.
All right, so it's just gross. In 1997, DeeDee's mom passed away, and soon after, her father remarried. DeeDee was reportedly continuously poisoning her new stepmother's food. No charges were ever filed, but family members say they knew when DeeDee was cooking, she served food to her stepmother that caused her to get sick. Family members also reported that DeeDee committed credit card fraud in her family members' names and wrote bad checks. She got in some legal trouble, but nothing serious enough to separate her from her daughter. It's good to know that poisoning someone, well, you can still keep your kid. I mean,
right? That doesn't set off any alarms. We're good.
DeeDee insisted Gypsy had eye problems, so doctors operated on her, and she started wearing huge, thick glasses. Again, all it takes is an optometrist to be like, no, she doesn't. We don't need to operate.
Yeah.
Operate would assume that they found something wrong with her eye.
Yeah, there's a lot of these where there's things that happen that just don't add up.
DeeDee told doctors that Gypsy drooled constantly, so her salivary glands were injected with Botox. Gypsy was given seizure meds, which made her lose most of her teeth.
I mean, I didn't even know about Botox in the 90s.
Yeah,
she was an early pioneer. Damn.
And into your salivary glands.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
She had really, really tight salivary glands afterwards.
They look so young. Like,
so youthful.
She went from age 7 to age 5. Like, oh my God, that's awful.
Sorry.
Right. Yeah, that's fucked up. But really, though, like, I fucking freak out when I have Novocaine in my mouth. And they put numbing shit in that. They don't do that for Botox. And they, like, shake it and put it all in your...
Oh my God, I don't know enough about Botox.
No? Okay, I've seen it where they just poke you like 1,000 times.
Oh
I mean,
God.
I don't have Botox, but I watch.
Why are you at home jerking off watching videos of Botox?
I've been contemplating surgery. Enhancements. All right, so the medical issues that DeeDee claimed Gypsy had were epilepsy, leukemia, muscular dystrophy, spina bifida, vision hearing impairment, nocturnal hyperventilation, allergies, asthma, and paraplegia. Gypsy's clothes and appearance were always presented to be that of a young, sick person. She had a shaved head, large glasses, and wore clothing styles of a very young child.
Yeah, if you see pictures of her, it's absolutely crazy.
Oh,
Well into her teens and whatnot. She dresses like someone that's maybe 4 or 5. Just like very frilly, very baggy, like ill-fitting kind of clothes.
Yeah.
She looks like a very small child, even in her teens. Yeah, we'll definitely throw a couple pictures up on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that, so that you guys can see.
She sounds kind of like a hipster. I mean, she got a shaved head, large glasses, or like one of those cool, like...
I had not even thought about that at all.
She sounds like someone we know.
She looks like she listens to a lot of cool bands.
Yeah.
Eats a lot of artisan food.
Oh, man. But, I mean... If you have a shaved head, is that... I mean, I'm just thinking about leukemia, but don't you lose your eyebrows? Like, wouldn't people be like, hey, bro?
I feel like I bring this up a lot, but that was an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a shaved head, but full, like, eyebrows, mustache. Like, clearly you've got a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. Oh, no, I have cancer. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems suspect, but also, I mean... She was taking the type of medicine that was making her lose her teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that
Hair
all the treatment for all the illnesses that she didn't have were actually causing her body to have these kind of reactions where maybe she wasn't completely bald or whatever it was. But, you know, she definitely showed signs of really losing her youthful looks. I don't know.
It's funny
because how to put it.
If she wasn't sick before, she's definitely sick now.
That's
and what
the
a
thing.
Fucking terrible thing.
Yeah.
The Blanchards received a lot of help from numerous charitable organizations and community members. The Blanchards were given a Disneyland trip from Children's Wish Foundation. Ronald McDonald House made Gypsy a princess in a Mardi Gras parade. Their church even helped Gypsy get an assistance dog and a portable feeding pump for her feeding tube, even though tests revealed she did not have muscular dystrophy.
The muscular dystrophy was the specific diagnosis that would lead her to need a feeding tube. Mm-hmm. But all the testing, I think it was biopsy, whatever, they did not find anything to conclude that she had it. But she was still using this feeding tube, raising money for the pump, like the whole 9 yards.
Where the fuck did she get a feeding tube from? The doctor did. I hope the doctor didn't
Walmart.
give it to her. Shit.
Just a hose.
Just a hose. It's a garden hose. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
That's so terrible. All right, so... By 2002, DeeDee cut off all of her family members, but Gypsy still had visits with her father and stepfamily until 2003. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina destroyed the Blanchards' home and medical records, so they relocated to Missouri. This information can be confirmed, and it seems DeeDee did not fabricate this detail.
Yeah, that was one of the only things that they could back up with proof.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely did live in a home that was destroyed. Pretty much everything else about their story was kind of made up to some degree.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing that was what they benefited from, you know, where people gave them charity and donated to them, but they could actually prove it.
Yeah, adds to her cause of being the victim.
Exactly.
So... After Katrina, they were flown to St. John's Hospital in Missouri by utilizing a charity that provides a medical helicopter for transport. For travel to different hospitals for treatment, the Blanchards frequently used Angel's Flight, which is one of many organizations that require medical proof to utilize the services. Upon arriving at the hospital, an employee felt so bad for the Blanchards that she let them stay at her apartment for free until they could get on their feet. Where was the proof?
I know.
Did she
but
fake some documents?
One of many. Like, there's other, of course, organizations, and they were working with them that were giving them funding, giving them, you know, medical equipment, and there apparently was some sort of proof at some point, or doctors that were willing to vouch for them enough.
Damn it. They got to go to Disneyland.
I need to go to Disneyland, you guys.
I smoke a lot of weed. I have a cough. All right. Shave my head. And get me some really young clothes. Possibly a Frozen t-shirt.
Shit.
All right. So at the time of the move, the Blanchards changed Gypsy's date of birth to 1995 to make her seem younger.
Yeah, this whole Katrina thing worked out in their favor for multiple reasons.
They have to prove. Yeah, no birth certificate, no medical records.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's just crazy to think of it that way because, I mean, of course, it was just such a horrific tragedy for so many other people. But for her specific situation, it was so useful that that happened.
You know what's weird to me is that don't medical records stay at a hospital?
Yeah, I would think that the medical records would be held in the databases of those hospitals. Yeah, by this time, that would definitely be the case.
Yeah, so that's
I don't know
weird.
What the problem is.
No one went to any of their old hospitals, probably when they moved to Missouri. But wouldn't you think that the medical proof needed by that organization, they could have just easily been like, oh, you were diagnosed at this hospital, so we're going to look you up. But
right. There's definitely ways to get records from other doctors and other hospitals, so I don't know how this was fabricated.
They lucked out. I'm gonna do this at like age 45 and be like, you know what, I'm 32 again. Let's burn all my records.
I'm gonna reinvent myself. Yeah. I'm a new person. I'm Kelly 2.0 without the E.
I'm definitely getting Botox in my jaw or whatever in my salivary glands.
You already drool a lot,
I
dude.
drool so much. God. My pillows are a mess. Awful.
I believe that for some reason.
So bad.
It's weird to say, you look like a drooler, but
I
believe that you would be a drooler.
The right side of my mouth, like, it's going to happen, like, when I get older, it's just going to start to droop. Like, I can already have that. I'm going to need that tissue to, like.
You're going to get wrinkle lines that are basically, like, that look like the water going through the desert.
Gross! Oh, shit. White people don't age well.
No, not at all.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe the moisturize, the drool side will look
maybe it's
on
keeping
fucking
you young.
Point. Yeah.
Maybe that's going to be the nicest part of your entire face.
Just pretty much a 2-inch section on my fucking jaw.
You're just like 90, but your jaw looks like it's 70.
That's what's important. I'm going to be pulling so many dudes with my sick ass fucking chin, like my really youthful chin. I'm going to be pulling 50-year-old dudes.
I don't know what it is about her, but her chin, it's just real striking. that Kelly's a real fox.
Hopefully my chin hairs won't protrude, because drool and chin hairs isn't going to be a good fucking look for me at 82. I don't care how young.
That's not a good look at any age.
No.
You don't need to qualify that. That's just period, not a good look.
You want to rub it in, or?
I'm sorry.
It's a curse. Oh, God. Okay, let's get fucking A.
Sorry, we need to talk about murder again. Let's get back.
What's DeeDee up to? All right, so because all of their records were destroyed, DeeDee apparently forged or lied on new documents. They began telling people that she was 10 instead of 14. Because they were not in contact with family and Gypsy was homeschooled, this deception was easy to accomplish. It is reported that homeschooling ended at 2nd or 3rd grade and Gypsy received no further education.
That's just another way to further insulate her from being discovered, you know?
She doesn't know anything, really.
So sad.
It's easier to control people like that.
Exactly.
Habitat for Humanity built a home for... I hated Habitat for Humanity. They had a thing at like my program at my school. Yeah, I don't know. I
volunteered for them when I was younger.
I was about to say the people that did it were so douchey. I'm just kidding. You are cool though.
I'm known to be a douchey motherfucker from time to time.
I'm like building homes for like the sick people. Okay, what are you doing?
I basically wouldn't tell anybody though, you know, because I was one of those
you were
kids,
the nice one.
Because, you know, I just wanted to like, you know, get high and smoke cigarettes. So why am I going to talk to you about Habitat for Humanity? I was just like, let me not talk about the good work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Which I was, like feeding the homeless and Habitat for Humanity and stuff. But I wouldn't talk about it because I thought it made me look less cool. Yeah. Which was really important to me.
That's why you had that cigarette in your mouth. You're like, I won't tell them about all the nerdy stuff. Nerdy, cool kind of things I do.
It's a secret.
So Habitat for Humanity built a home for the Blanchards in 2008 with wheelchair access, amenities, and a jacuzzi for Gypsy's muscle aches. At the new house, they threw outdoor movie nights where they charged a small admission fee and sold inexpensive concessions to fundraise for medical expenses.
That just sounds amazing to me.
When
I saw that, I was like, I want to watch movies outside.
Yeah, with concessions. Right? And, I mean, if she wasn't fake sick, this would be great. Awesome. Yeah. But this is just, I mean, she got a jacuzzi for her fake muscle aches. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that you would have so much muscle atrophy from not even being able to walk or
you're in a wheelchair all the time.
She probably was having a lot of pain. She probably needed it, but for different reasons, you know? And I'm sure the medicine was causing her some sort of discomfort.
Oh, yeah, she has no teeth. I'm sorry. She deserves a jacuzzi. This girl definitely deserves a jacuzzi. I'm being such a dick right now. This girl gets whatever she wants. Okay, so in 2009, police received an anonymous tip and showed up to the Blanchards' house to follow up. The anonymous tip expressed concerns that Gypsy was possibly kidnapped, missing, or a runaway. There was no specific information or detailed accusation left by the caller. The person just knew something was strange with their dynamic and suspected foul play. After investigating, the officers believed DeeDee and Gypsy were telling the truth, so they left and no charges were filed. DeeDee said she changed their info to hide from her abusive ex-husband, but there was no evidence, witnesses, or police reports to back up that claim.
Back that claim
Back
up.
that claim up.
Girl, you look good. Won't you back that claim up? Sorry. I couldn't help it. It's like my version of your Factitious.
Call me Big Daddy when you back that claim up.
That was the first time I remember seeing Lil Wayne.
I know, yeah, he's so little. He's real.
He's the
little.
tiniest.
Yeah.
Even tinier than he is now, which is still really small.
That video. Oh, shit.
Okay, we're also going to post that video. No, just kidding.
Back that claim up. Oh, man.
Sorry, I had to interrupt.
God damn it. So Rod Blanchard said DeeDee and Gypsy were not hiding from him. He knew where they lived, paid child support, and even continued to do so for years after she had turned 18. DeeDee always made excuses why Rod couldn't see his daughter, which further contributed to her father and stepfamily believing the lies that Gypsy had all these illnesses. What, he didn't want to see his sick daughter?
Yeah, it's weird to me. I don't know. I know that they were making excuses, and he did actually start another family, and he had a new wife and new kids. It just seems strange that he didn't follow up with them.
Especially if you're paying child support after you were 18. I guess he did believe that maybe she was sick.
Exactly. So. I mean, it was proof that he was a good guy, that he was still paying the child support. He wasn't evading the authorities or anything like that. But if it was me, if it was my daughter, I would follow up and just be like, hey, I need to see my daughter. She's sick. Like, I want to have a relationship with her. So that's kind of shitty to me.
Maybe buy her some teeth. Fuck, dude. Get her a wig. Some fucking take her to Forever 21. Get her some new fucking clothes.
She's been wearing that Frozen t-shirt for a long time.
Yeah. She's wearing one of those dresses like the twins from The Shining. Like,
oh my God.
Creepy. Ugh. As Gypsy became older, she began to try to assert her independence by having an online social life. DeeDee was extremely strict about her daughter's use of the internet and only allowed Gypsy to use a joint account that the two of them shared. Gross. That's so gross.
Yeah, I think that's creepy when anybody does that, to be honest.
Yeah, I would never do that. But also,
if you're listening, you're cool. But yeah, I thought that was weird, but I understand because it's her daughter.
It's controlling. Just don't have her have one. Yeah.
Totally.
Or if I was the daughter, I'd be like, change password.
Right.
Mom, you're fucked.
It's that easy.
It's so easy. But
also, part of being a teenager is rebelling by doing things that are secret. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have this double, like, this other persona. So, it makes sense.
Gypsy rebelled against her mother by creating secret accounts for herself and sneaking on the computer to chat with people while her mother was not around. DeeDee reportedly took sleeping pills, which gave Gypsy an opportunity to socialize late at night with her online friends. For like 5 hours straight. You have a lot of online socializing time. Right? Just make sure your mom takes her Ambien. In 2014, Gypsy sent a friend a Facebook message saying that she met a guy named Nicholas Godejan on a Christian singles dating website. Gypsy said that her and Nicholas had been secretly dating for 2 years. The thing Gypsy didn't know about Nicholas is that he had been arrested for carrying a concealed weapon. There was an incident where a McDonald's manager called the police to report a man was watching porn and masturbating in a booth for 9 hours.
That's just insane.
9 fucking hours, dude.
I mean,
who lets someone jerk off for 9 hours?
By minute 1. Dude. I would be on the phone with the cops.
Hands like, not even in the pants.
No.
Just, I hear the unzip. And
I see a look in your eye like you might touch your dick.
Yeah,
and I'm calling the cops. That is not even cool. 9 hours later, he's just kind of mashing it around.
Oh.
You know?
Well, at least we know he can last forever. I mean, he's got that goodie.
This dude's a total creep. I don't even want to think about that.
He's just edging at McDonald's for like 9 hours. Over like a thing of chicken nuggets and shit too.
Practicing Tantra like Sting.
Dripping sweet and sour sauce down his chest. Cleaned it up with French fries.
Ew.
Just kidding. That would make you come. Just kidding. Oh my God. So when I wonder how long it took the police to arrive, though.
Yeah, that is just that whole story is just insane.
Awful.
Me. So insane.
So when the police arrived at the scene, Nicholas claimed he was just scratching himself
for 9 hours. Like he was just mashing his dick around.
Yeah.
Like, that's so creepy.
I don't know what
creepy.
you're like. I don't care if you're scratching your dick. You're doing something.
You're doing
to
something.
It.
Obviously, you're up to no good.
Why is your dick so itchy?
Oh my God. Exactly.
That's the real problem.
No matter what your explanation is, it's not going to be okay to do that for 9 hours.
Because he keeps pouring sweet and sour sauce. Stop beating off with the barbecue sauce. It won't be so itchy. So the cops searched him and found a knife, so they arrested him. Nicholas was a 26-year-old who lived in Wisconsin with his parents. The couple had a plan that DeeDee and Gypsy would be out in public somewhere and they would just randomly run into Nick, so DeeDee would be more receptive to him and Gypsy hanging out, then developing their relationship into dating. In addition to their plans about meeting, the pair frequently discussed BDSM and killing Gypsy's mother, DeeDee. Gypsy's online persona was much different than the role she was forced to play in her everyday life, and she often had very sexual and violent conversations online. Suddenly, on June 14, 2015, a Facebook post appeared on DeeDee and Gypsy's shared Facebook page that said, "The bitch is dead." People began to comment on the post, and it was clear that most people just thought the account had been hacked. After a bit, the DeeDee and Gypsy account left a comment on the post that read, "I fucking slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet innocent daughter. Her scream was so fucking loud. LOL."
Hilarious.
Oh, that's a good one. Friends became alarmed after seeing the comment. Why? There's an LOL. Obviously.
Don't be alarmed. I'm laughing.
Out loud. So they began calling the house, but there was no answer. Then people began calling police and going to the house to check on them. DeeDee's car was in front of the house, but nobody answered the persistent knocks on the door. Because the police had not yet obtained a warrant, a neighbor volunteered to enter the house through a window. Is that a loophole? The cops can't,
Yeah, the cops can't go in, but a concerned citizen can't get in trouble. Unless the family wanted to press charges or something. I don't know.
But a cop could sit there and watch someone do a breaking and entering. You see what I mean?
Pretty,
That's weird. They're like, go ahead. I can't do it, but you can.
You're down for a B&E, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be right here to arrest you when you're done.
The neighbor looked around the house, but did not find anything. Soon after, police got a warrant and went inside to investigate. They found DeeDee's body in the house and clear signs that she had died of stab wounds. Police say they understood why the neighbor didn't see the body, but didn't specify why the neighbor had not seen DeeDee after going through the window and looking around. Speculation is that DeeDee was hidden under or behind something. Her body was possibly laying under the blankets or laundry. The community and law enforcement were especially concerned that Gypsy's wheelchairs were still at the house. Because it seemed she was kidnapped or was the victim of some other foul play, the investigation proceeded with urgent focus on finding the missing girl. Police obtained a warrant to find the source of the Facebook posts, which led them to Gypsy's secret boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn. When an armed team of police officers showed up to arrest Nicholas at his parents' house, they also found Gypsy. Nicholas's parents only knew that he met a girlfriend online and brought her home, so they were shocked when armed officers showed up to arrest them both. The family said Gypsy seemed normal, nice, and didn't have any health or mobility issues. So she left the wheelchair at home. Definitely. That makes sense why they're there.
Yeah, it was clear that they only saw her as an able-bodied person. Mm-hmm. She also, wore a wig and everything. She probably had different clothes. So the person that they saw was not the person that everybody back at home knew,
the sick little victim.
Yeah.
So $4,000 taken from the Blanchard home was found at Nicholas's house. The police also found the murder weapon and bloody gloves. The couple had plenty of opportunity to discard the weapon along their journey if they took the items with them, but the knife was a gift from Gypsy, so they may have kept it for sentimental reasons. Apparently, after they committed the murder, the couple had mailed the gloves and knife to Nicholas's house and then took a cab and Greyhound bus home. The cab driver that unknowingly picked up the couple from the scene of the crime said Gypsy was wearing a wig and he took the couple to a hotel. Gypsy and Nicholas were charged with the murder and extradited to Missouri. When the police interrogated Gypsy, she admitted that she had given a false date of birth and didn't need a wheelchair. Gypsy said she knew that Nicholas was going to kill DeeDee. She said that she wrote the Facebook post because she wanted the body to be found quickly. although it's not clear if it was anxiety or guilt that made her want to help get the body discovered faster. It's also highly likely that Nicholas and Gypsy's were ignorant to the police's ability to track them down. During Nicholas's confession, he said that it was Gypsy who had asked him to stab her mother, and he considered raping DeeDee, but decided not to. Nick's DNA was at the scene because he cut his hand during the attack, but Gypsy cleaned it with a baby wipe. Nicholas requested a bench trial, which is a trial by a judge, not by jurors. His legal team may be more concerned with the length of the sentence than the guilty verdict, since he is not claiming that he didn't do it. It is unknown if there is a plea deal on the table.
Yeah, it's kind of uncommon for there to be a trial by judge, not jury. But the reasoning was most likely that they're trying to reduce his sentence because he's just not claiming at all that he didn't do it. And it's clear the evidence only points to him.
And they admitted to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, which I don't get why. I mean, I guess they might be kind of nice people or maybe have a heart in some sense, right?
But I don't think that's because they're nice people. I mean, they're fucking murderers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, but some people are just like, didn't do it. Prove it.
Yeah. I mean,
Prove
I think they
it.
both feel bad that it happened, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So after the arrest, police tried to get Gypsy's medical records. Even though Gypsy was 23, she did not have access to her own medical records because DeeDee had power of attorney, which makes no sense if you're over 18. I don't get that. Unless you're a disabled...
But that's the thing.
She is disabled, kind of.
Exactly. They had... All the signs had pointed to her being disabled, so she wouldn't have power of attorney or be seen as like an autonomous, full-functioning, healthy adult, so someone else would have to handle all of her affairs for her, even though she was over 18.
If you can use Facebook, and post shit, then I think you're good enough to make some
legal decisions if you can do a post.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. If you can post some memes, you're good enough to handle your own shit. So.
Clearly, that's a sign of doing well in life.
Well, obviously, if your crazy ass mom I would just rather take shit into my own hands. But I guess she's bred into being a victim, and not being taken care of by someone.
Yeah, I don't think she knew anything different. You know?
Yeah, and maybe she didn't know. Yeah, it was an option.
Right.
It's like, what? I can run things myself?
Right. Yeah, most of us have that concept of like we reach our teenage years and our parents give us more and more responsibility. She never ever had that.
Yeah.
So of course by the time she turned 20, 23, that wasn't an option to her, you know? I know.
You'd think, because she's into BDSM and all that.
You think that she would have.
That would translate. I feel,
like
that creates confidence, right? And like some type of BDSM creates I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe she's the sub and she just likes getting the shit kicked out of her. I don't know. Once the medical records were obtained, a plea deal was made. Gypsy pled guilty to second-degree murder and received a 10-year sentence. She will need to serve at least 85% of the sentence, so with time served already, she could be out by 2023 when she's 32. It's a fucking great sentence. I mean, is it because... I mean, she's not sick. We know that, so...
Yeah, I think they probably had sympathy for her.
Being
and knew
a victim.
That she would be a sympathetic murderer, you know? That they knew that the jury would have sympathy for what she went through and understand why she fought back.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the plea deal was so small.
Oh, damn. All right. Gypsy said her mom would have been a great mother to a sick child, but the problem was she wasn't sick. It's likely that a child who actually did have vulnerabilities and a weakened immune system may not have survived DeeDee's abuse.
I mean, she clearly has some sort of sympathy for her mom and still loves her mom to a certain degree and understands kind of what happened, but she knows that she wasn't the right daughter for her, you know? That is so crazy to me.
I mean, you just think about it. I would just... Oh, that's a lot of therapy, dude.
Right?
That's a lot of therapy.
Keep the therapist on call, man.
And I wonder if she still thinks she's sick. Like, I mean,
the pictures of her that are recent, like from the trial or whatnot, I mean, she is clearly a young woman that's healthy, for sure.
Good.
She has a really small voice, though, like from just years of pretending to be a child.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah. If you go listen to some of her her testimony or her in the courtroom. It's just
Ooh.
really, really creepy. And there's old footage of her at certain like charitable events, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
That's
insane.
creepy.
Especially knowing, like, if you were watching it as someone that believed she was this sick child, it probably wouldn't have been creepy. She just sounds like a child.
Yeah.
But if you know that she's so much older, where she's like 20, you know, then it's
talking like she's
pretty
10.
intense.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross. I'm sorry. Especially because it mixes into that BDSM thing. Like, I just imagine her, like, I just imagine a small voice and just, her Facebook posts. And, yeah, small voices don't really do it for me. I don't know.
It's not your thing. So the next story we have is of the Wilfred family. Leslie, 37, and Chris, 39, first met in high school. But after graduating, they lost touch for a while. They both had relationships and children with other people, then reconnected after those relationships ended. Leslie and Chris started dating, fell in love, and were married on June 23, 2007. Their marriage brought together 4 kids from Leslie's previous relationships and 1 child from Chris's. That's 5 kids in one house.
Whew.
That is like 8 too many kids.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's really insensitive talking about this disorder.
Yeah.
That's in poor taste. My bad.
Wait for the next story. Oh my God.
According to those that knew the Wilfreds, Leslie was a loving mother who was always attentive to the needs of her children. And Chris was a kind and supportive husband and father. The kids appeared to be well cared for, and they had no behavioral issues or outward physical signs that would give suspicion that the Wilfred home was anything less than loving and healthy. After the marriage and blending of 2 families, Leslie's 4 children were loved and accepted by their new stepfather, although Chris's son was treated quite differently. In information that you look up about this story, they refer to the son as Nathan, although he has had his name changed, so that is not his name. In the story, we will call him Nathan. According to both Leslie and Chris, 10-year-old Nathan was a very dangerous child. He was prone to violent rages in which he would threaten the family, and Nathan was seldom allowed to participate in family events or outings. He was often isolated from his stepbrothers and stepsisters. Nathan did not attend church with his family, and unlike his 4 siblings, Nathan was homeschooled. Friends and members of the community said they rarely saw Nathan outside the house.
I feel like if you take someone bad and who's already like dangerous and you just like isolate them,
way more behavioral issues, because then they're just really angry and volatile and hurt.
Instead of throwing them in with kids who are going to teach them social skills, like I feel like you do need to be bullied, and you'll learn. You'll learn to deal with it. I don't know if I would go that far,
but you do need to like learn behavior from your peers.
Exactly. Okay, so not bullied, but I mean, it builds character.
Much of the attention and care that Nathan did not receive was extended to their other children, 2 of whom were suffering from various health issues. Leslie's 13-year-old son, Charles, had his gallbladder removed when he was a young child after suffering from frequent bouts of nausea and vomiting. Again, when referencing Charles, his name has been changed to protect his anonymity as a surviving victim. So Charles is not his name, but this is the name that we use. In addition to the gallbladder issues, Charles was in need of a liver transplant. Though the reason for the procedure was not specified, Chris was prepared to donate part of his own liver to help save his wife's son.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Leslie's then 9-year-old daughter, Teresa, again, not her name, had a much more serious diagnosis of leukemia and was said to be terminal. Leslie accompanied Teresa to chemotherapy treatments and various doctor's visits. To help pay for their medical bills, the Wilfred family had placed fundraising canisters throughout Thomasville to collect donations from the community. According to Leslie, the other children suffered from a variety of medical and psychological conditions, and she even alleged that her biracial 11-year-old daughter, Brianna, was the result of being raped by a former coworker, although the authorities were never alerted and no police report was ever filed. Members of the community viewed Leslie as a good parent who frequently participated in both school and church events. Despite various ongoing health challenges faced by the Wilfred children, friends and neighbors say the children dressed and behaved appropriately enough, prompting no one to question the Wilfred family's numerous medical maladies. I feel like that's always the story. Just like, everything was normal. Everything was totally going great. It's always that and not the person that's just the weirdo. You know?
Yeah.
The more normal you are, the worse the shit going on behind closed doors is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In June 2008, Leslie announced that she was pregnant. The family was initially happy about the good news, but even more excited when they later found out that she was carrying twins.
Twins!
If I was her and I found out I was carrying twins, I'd be so mad. Because then you're going to have, like, a ton of children. That's 7 kids. That's so insane. I can't imagine being happy about that.
Yeah, imagine what your pussy feels like. Broken
that
pussy.
Ain't happy either.
Exactly. I'd instantly, when they say the word twins, I just start working on my Kegels right there. I just start clenching my butthole.
Just a natural reflex.
Yeah, just ooh.
Oh my god.
I'll just pop them out. Poop, poop.
Like you're a stripper just popping ping pong balls all over the place. Please welcome to the stage, Ping Pong Kelly.
Poo, poo, poo.
Oh my goodness. In October 2008, police were called to the Wilfred home after Leslie and Chris reported that Chris's 10-year-old son Nathan had threatened his family members with a knife.
10 years old?
Yup.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Kids are creepy. Kids in a scary movie, in a horror movie, are the worst.
Yeah, they're the scary. And old people, of course.
Kids are scarier than old people to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Old people smell way worse and they have less teeth.
All right, good point.
They both shit themselves sometimes, so it's just terrible.
They both have really bad boundaries.
Yes,
They're going to walk up to you and be like, why do you look like that? Why are you wearing that? It's ugly.
You're fat. And probably get some nasty shit on your face, like your grandma's just licking you, and kids just come up and wipe shit on you, and you're just like,
they're messy.
Yeah, they're gross. Ugh.
The incident led to an investigation with Child Protective Services, and Leslie was often required to meet with officials involved in Nathan's case to discuss his outbursts.
What is there to discuss? You fucking pulled a knife.
Let's just talk about this.
So
talk about the knife play.
How were you feeling when you pulled out that knife? Tell me about it.
According to sources at CPS, Leslie's behavior during these appointments seemed slightly bizarre. Child Protective Services said during the whole period of time when the mother would be talking to the attorney, she made several references about his behavior being responsible for the safety and well-being of her unborn twins. On November 10th, 2008, 3 weeks after the CPS investigation of Nathan's knife attack began, Leslie Wilfred called Chris from the local hospital in Thomasville, Georgia, with devastating news. Leslie informed the family that the twins she had been carrying for the past 5 months had been stillborn. According to Leslie, each baby had taken exactly 1 breath just before dying.
Too specific. You're lying.
Yeah.
Too specific. That's creepy to, describe
super
it.
Creepy.
Why would you even say that? That's so weird.
You know, it's weird because I've heard that in other cases.
Shut up.
Too.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know.
That's
weird.
I mean, I guess if it's something so traumatic like that, you would remember the small details.
Maybe. The grief-stricken mother told her husband that the twins had been cremated and she wanted to come home to plan their funeral. The funeral services took place at the family's regular church. The service included a letter Leslie had written from the perspective of her twins, entitled "A Letter to Our Daddy," and a pair of teddy bear-shaped urns, which held the small children's ashes.
That's so sad.
I know.
It's a really sad visual. Teddy bear-shaped urns.
But she knew that. That was part of the whole thing. Just wait.
Yeah, my stomach is already dropping.
Yeah. 2 framed ultrasound photos of the fetuses were on display at the funeral, and many of the friends and family members who attended the service even commented that the unborn twins looked just like their children's father.
Stupid.
Who has your hat?
I hate people so much.
You are not the father.
so stupid. He's got your 5 heads, so for sure.
That's your big ass nose right there.
Yeah, exactly. So funny.
The community was heartbroken for the family and offered them help and assistance in their time of need. Similar to the daughter's leukemia struggle, everyone in her community banded together to provide the family with meals, support, and monetary donations. When the CPS agents working on 10-year-old Nathan's previous knife attack case heard about the stillbirths, a CPS agent contacted the sheriff's department with suspicions about the Wilfred family, prompting a preliminary investigation. The first area of investigation for the sheriff's office was to check with the hospital. They found no record of the births, and the doctor that Leslie claimed had delivered the babies did not even exist.
Oh, no. See? Medical records.
The sheriff's initial findings regarding the twins eventually led to many more discoveries about Leslie's lies. The ultrasound photos were of another woman's child, taken from an unknown website.
Google.
Right? Ultrasounds that look like my husband's.
Yeah.
And the teddy bear urns were filled with nothing but air.
Put some sand in it, some kitty litter or something.
Oh my God.
Something that mimics it. If you're going to do that lie, you might as well go all out.
Yeah, seriously. A search of her computer revealed that Leslie had ordered what was called the huggable teddy bear urns 5 days prior to the twins' fake deaths. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible name.
Ugh.
So this had indicated that she was planning the stillbirth story all along. In fact, it was also discovered that Leslie had her tubes tied before her and Chris even got married. So she was actually completely incapable of getting pregnant.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Wait, no one didn't notice that she didn't gain any weight over 5 months?
That's the thing, is okay.
She just ate a lot of fucking hostesses.
There's pictures of her, and she looks pregnant.
She's just eating McDonald's and just knocking back the Starburst.
But she doesn't look fat. She looks pregnant. It's different.
Is she a small-framed girl?
No.
They just...
She's like a medium average build lady, but she had a big pregnant belly.
Oh my God, she drank a 40 a day. That's what she did.
Major beer belly.
Yeah. Funyuns and 40s.
I'm on the Funyuns and 40s diet.
Yeah. I'm trying to get that twin look, you know what I mean?
The twins named Funyuns and 40s, though. Additional seizures of medical records, search warrants, and other documents unearthed even more lies and fabrications. Leslie's son Charles had never been in need of a liver transplant, and his gallbladder surgery as a child was immediately called into question. Dr. Mark Friedman said the suspicion that could never be proven was that the mother was poisoning him. The doctors had their doubts about what was going on, yet she went from doctor to doctor until she found one willing to remove the little boy's gallbladder.
I was going to say, what doctor would be like, you know what? Okay, we think she's poisoning him, but we're just going to still take it out. But she just hopped till she found that one shady doctor.
Exactly.
No way.
Furthermore, there was no evidence to support the claim that Teresa was dying from leukemia. There were absolutely no medical records for her daughter, meaning she did not suffer from the life-threatening leukemia. The little girl's visits to the hospital for chemotherapy treatments had all been elaborate stage plays directed by Leslie, and the donation canisters set up throughout Thomasville to fund Teresa's medical bills had all been a sham.
Ugh.
Chris's 10-year-old son Nathan may have suffered the worst of all. After searching the Wilfreds' home, officers discovered a small wooden box secured to the walls inside a linen closet in the master bathroom. Inside the box was a pillow, a blanket, and scribbled profanities. Leslie initially claimed that the box had been used to house animals, but further investigation revealed that Nathan had been forced to sleep in the box every night, with plastic bands strapped around his arms to prevent him from making noise. I know.
That's why he fucking pulled a knife on him.
Course.
And that's why he's all pissed off and angry.
CPS knew that. I mean,
Oh
CPS,
my God.
not beforehand, but they knew there was something wrong. They suspected her all along, which is why when the thing with the twins happened, she was investigated.
Oh, man.
I know.
Poor Nathan.
I know. The parents' explanation for the box was that Nathan was too violent and needed to be constrained during the nighttime hours. But psychiatric analysis of the young boy showed his behavior struggles mostly stemmed from post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of being confined to the tiny box every evening. Exactly. Factitious disorder specialist Mark Feldman said they did a complete psychiatric assessment of her. She is not psychiatrically ill in the sense of a major diagnosis like schizophrenia. There are no psychiatric excuses for what she did. She has a personality disorder, which means she has a long-term, self-defeating ways to deal with stress.
So she's just a dick. She's got dickitis. Oh my God.
She's the mascot for Factitious Disorder.
Exactly.
Another commonality with other factitious disorder cases was that Leslie's case involved the presence of an unquestioning partner. It is very common to find that people that struggle with this disorder have spouses that are either too passive to question their partner or have denial blinders on and believe whatever lies their partner tells them, no matter how far-fetched. When police asked Chris if he had suspected that Leslie was faking her pregnancy, he said he had absolutely no idea that she was lying, even though he said he had been intimate with his wife during the time she claimed she was pregnant.
What does that last sentence mean?
So basically, she had a pregnant body is what he was saying.
Yeah, blunts and... I mean, 40s and fucking Funyuns. Sorry, I don't know why I added blunts in there. I'm just assuming. 40s and Funyuns body. She got that tummy.
Again, factitious disorder specialist Mark Feldman said, in case after case, you find these very passive husbands. They don't question the lack of insurance bills because the mother claims she is handling them. They have very traditional marriages. Anything involving the children is the women's responsibility, and the work life is the man's domain.
That's awful.
Following a 2.5-year investigation, Leslie Wilfred eventually pled guilty to several counts of cruelty to children and theft by deception, resulting from the donation canisters she set up throughout the town. She is currently serving an 8-year sentence, which will be followed by 30 years of probation. Chris was convicted of 1 count of cruelty to children, and both parents have been ordered not to contact their children without explicit permission from the court and other designated agencies.
This just sucks for the kids because now they're just, I mean, not only do they have like some shitty parents who are making up fake things about them, now they don't have any parents.
Yeah, it's a totally awful, awful story.
Fuck.
I know.
I hate all these people.
And I think, you know, the dad definitely fucked up in this story and was too passive and all that, but...
I'm sorry, your kid's living in a fucking box or whatever.
Right.
You're, like, how did you not notice that one?
Yeah.
That's your kid, too. That's not her kid. That was his kid.
Yeah, it seems like that would be really easy to see through. If none of this is happening to her children, but his child is singled out, being homeschooled, being kept at home all the time, and locked in a box, and you didn't say anything?
And maybe he wasn't a dick kid before he was locked in a box.
Exactly. Like, that's what the doctors were saying. It was a result of PTSD that he was acting out. How completely awful. So we are running out of time, so we're actually going to separate this into 2 episodes. So this will be the end of part 1, and next week we will do part 2 with 2 more cases of factitious disorder.
Did you know Harry Potter was kept under some stairs? I don't know. I don't know if he wrote little profanities on the wall, but I don't think he had a pillow.
Maybe profanities, but in that Harry Potter language.
Yes.
Like, fuck you, Liz.
Fuck you with a wand in your anus.
Oh my God. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also visit our Patreon. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. And let your friends and family know about us. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for checking us out. And we'll see you next week.
Wherever you go, however you go. For energy on the go, it's got to be 5-Hour Energy. Works fast, Works long, tastes good, and with 0 sugar and 4 calories, there's nothing holding you back. Fits your pocket, fits your backpack, fits your on-the-go life wherever and whenever you need to feel alert and energized. 5-Hour Energy. Energy on the go. Want to save money on 5-Hour Energy's most popular flavors? Just go to your neighborhood Walmart.